Welcome to Deep Dive. Welcome. We're thrilled to have you here. Let's dive in and grow together.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into Tuesdays with Morrie. It's a book that's, it's touched a lot of lives. And it's the story of Mitch Albom. He's a successful sports journalist, and he ends up reconnecting with his former sociology professor, Morrie Schwartz, who's battling ALS. And you mentioned wanting to explore how the book makes you think about life and death, especially that quote about giving and receiving love. So let's break down this book chapter by chapter and see what we can uncover.
Tuesdays with Morrie. It's so much more than just a memoir. It's almost like a guidebook for living a good life, even when you're facing death. You know Morrie, he uses his final days to teach Mitch these profound lessons, and in a way, he's teaching all of us too.
Yeah. So let's start with the first chapter, the curriculum. It kind of sets the stage for this unusual last class. Mitch is caught up in his career.
Yeah.
And he stumbles upon this news report about his professor's illness. And it's like a wake-up call. Like, oh yeah, life is fragile, time is precious.
And what's really striking is the contrast between Mitch's life and Morrie's life. Mitch is like this driven, ambitious guy, chasing success, chasing money. And then there's a Morrie, he's facing his own mortality. And he's stripped all that stuff away, and he's really focused on what matters, human connection, love, meaning.
Right. And their classroom is Morrie's living room.
Right.
And the syllabus is just these Tuesday meetings where they talk about, the big questions of life. There's no grades, no exams. It's just this raw, honest exchange between a teacher and a student, both kind of grappling with life and death.
Then we move on to, the next chapter of the syllabus, and the first Tuesday. So we learn about Morrie's physical decline because of the ALS. It's slowly taking away his independence. But there's this incredible resilience about him. He faces his death head on. He even has this living funeral. He hears these tributes while he's still alive.
Wow, what a powerful idea. To celebrate life and face death with courage makes you think about, how we approach our own mortality.
Yeah, definitely. Morrie's perspective is, it's different. We usually avoid talking about death, but he sees his time as a gift, a chance to say goodbye, to reflect on his life, and to share what he's learned.
And it's during this first Tuesday, right, that Morrie says that line that really resonated with you. The most important thing in life is to learn how to give out love and to let it come in. Such a simple statement, but so profound.
Yeah, it really gets to the heart of it, the need for connection, love, belonging. And it reminds us that love isn't passive. It's something we do. We give it and we accept it.
And that idea runs throughout the book, giving and receiving love. It's how Morrie interacts with Mitch, with his family, his caregivers. It's in the lessons, the stories, everything.
Exactly. And then we get to taking attendance and the next few Tuesdays. All sorts of topics, feeling sorry for yourself, regrets, the world, family. Really makes you think about your own life.
Right. Morrie tells us to limit self-pity, to learn from our regrets, but not dwell on the past, to look at the world's suffering, and to build our own, meaningful culture. He talks about how important family is, creating a foundation of love and support.
And he's so honest and vulnerable about it all. He shares his own struggles, fears, doubts. He doesn't pretend to have all the answers. He just offers a way of thinking, a way of being that's inspiring and possible.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, hey, life is messy, it's complicated, but it's also beautiful, full of possibilities. Embrace it all.
Exactly. And in those quiet Tuesday moments with Mitch, Morrie shares such deep wisdom. Profound, but also practical. It's amazing how as Morrie gets weaker physically, his inner strength gets stronger.
Yeah.
Like he's more clear than ever.
Yeah.
And you really see that in the chapters about the midterm exam, Tuesdays 6 through 9.
Right. Those Tuesdays really get into what it means to be human.
Exactly.
Like when Morrie talks about detaching from those negative emotions, don't let them eat you up, but still experience them fully.
It's like you see the wave coming, but you don't have to let it knock you down.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's all about embracing aging. It's not just getting older, it's growing. You see the wisdom and perspective that comes with time.
That's so true.
Our culture is obsessed with being young, but aging can be about constantly learning and discovering yourself.
Yeah. And then there's money. We're all caught up in getting rich. But Morrie's message about money is like a breath of fresh air.
Absolutely.
He says real satisfaction comes from giving, not getting, from doing something bigger than yourself.
He talks about building a culture of love, connection, and compassion.
Why?
Like we have the power to create our own meaning and purpose, even if society is telling us to chase something else.
When he talks about love being stronger than death,
Yeah.
It's incredibly moving.
When he says love goes on, it's
Yeah.
like he's speaking to everyone who has lost someone they loved.
It reminds us that love doesn't die when people die.
Right. And that feeling carries right into those last Tuesdays, the final stretch, chapters 10 through 14. Marriage, culture, forgiveness, saying goodbye.
Heavy stuff.
Morrie says you need a loving and supportive relationship to balance out all the bad stuff in our culture.
Yeah, he's not just talking about romance.
No, it's deeper than that.
It's about really connecting with someone and understanding each other.
Exactly.
Finding someone who helps you grow, challenges you to be better, and gives you a safe space when the world feels too much.
Right. And when it comes to culture, Morrie says build your own.
Yeah, don't just follow the crowd.
Find your people. Build a community around the things you believe in, something bigger than just you.
And his words on forgiveness really hit home.
Especially since he knew he didn't have much time left.
He said, forgive yourself. Let go of that anger towards others.
Holding on to all that bitterness, it just hurts you.
Weighs you down.
Stops you from finding peace and happiness.
It's about letting go.
Finding compassion for yourself and others.
Moving on.
With a lighter heart.
And then that chapter on saying goodbye.
It's powerful.
Morrie is so accepting.
He's full of grace.
He focuses on the love he shared.
And what he's leaving behind.
He reminds us that death is just part of life.
We're all gonna face it someday.
And he says, embrace it.
Talk about it.
Find your own way to be okay with it.
You know what else strikes me?
What's that?
Even with all the serious stuff, Morrie never loses his sense of humor.
That's so true.
He finds ways to laugh even when he's sick.
He's telling stories, making jokes, bringing joy to everyone around him.
That lightness is so important. It
Absolutely.
reminds you not to take yourself too seriously,
Find those moments of joy.
even when things are tough.
Appreciate the little things.
Be thankful for being alive.
You know, before we get to the last part of this deep dive, I want to go back to some of those stories Morrie tells. They really make those lessons come to life.
Oh, definitely.
Like the ones about his childhood.
He went through a lot as a kid,
Yeah, losing his mom so young.
having to watch his brother struggle with polio.
It made him face some really hard emotions early on.
But it also helped him develop empathy and compassion.
And his relationship with his father.
It was tough.
His dad was distant.
Not very affectionate.
It wasn't until his stepmother Eva came along that he felt real motherly love.
It shows you how important those early relationships are.
They shape who we become.
And even with all that hardship,
Morrie didn't get bitter.
he didn't hold on to resentment.
Instead, he wanted to connect with people,
Understand their pain.
help them find meaning in life.
And there's that story about him working in a mental hospital.
Yeah, early in his career.
Seeing all that suffering and isolation firsthand
It really got to him,
made him understand the human mind better.
and it fueled his desire to help people heal.
And throughout his life, Morrie connected with people from all walks of life.
He had that gift.
He treated everyone with respect.
He was genuine.
Students, colleagues, even people who saw him on Nightline.
He was a one-of-a-kind teacher,
Definitely.
but his teaching went way beyond the classroom,
His classroom was life itself.
and his lessons were in those everyday moments.
He believed in learning by doing,
By connecting with people.
having those open and honest conversations,
He wasn't afraid of the big questions,
or the messy parts of being human,
and he could always sum up these big ideas,
in the short, memorable
the
phrases.
little nuggets of wisdom.
Like planting seeds that grow in your mind.
I love that one. When you're in bed, you're dead.
Classic Morrie.
Finding humor even when talking about his own decline.
But it's more than just a joke.
It's about living your life to the fullest.
Don't waste time.
Make every moment count.
And that one about love being the only rational act.
So powerful.
It makes you think about what's really important.
Are we letting love in and out of our lives?
So as we see Morrie getting sicker throughout the book,
We also see how strong he is.
he doesn't let his illness define him.
He focuses on what he can control,
His attitude, his relationship,
how he connects with people,
even when the simplest things get hard,
like eating or putting on his glasses,
he adapts.
keeps his sense of humor.
He sees needing help from others as a way to experience a different kind of closeness.
And his view on getting older,
It's amazing.
he doesn't see it as going downhill.
It's a chance to keep growing and learning.
Embrace that wisdom and experience.
Don't be afraid of a few wrinkles.
Our culture is obsessed with youth and beauty
But Morrie reminds us that real happiness comes from living in the moment.
and finding meaning in the journey.
And I think Morrie's observations about our culture are really interesting.
He was a sharp guy.
He saw right through us.
He wasn't afraid to call out the things that hurt us.
Our obsession with stuff with status.
Always trying to get ahead.
It often comes at the cost of real connection, compassion, and community.
Like we try to fill that empty space inside with things.
Thinking more stuff will make us happy.
But it doesn't work.
Those things are empty.
Morrie says, pay attention to what our culture is telling us.
Make conscious choices about what we value.
We have the power to create a different kind of culture.
One built on love, connection, and meaning.
And his message about forgiveness.
It's so important in the world we live in today.
Forgive yourself. Let go of that anger towards others.
All that negativity just weighs you down.
Stops you from being truly happy.
It's about letting go.
Finding compassion.
Moving on.
And this brings us back to that big theme that runs through the whole book.
Love.
Morrie believed it's the most important thing we need as humans.
It connects us all.
Gives meaning to our lives.
And he wasn't just talking about romantic love.
Right.
He meant love between family and friends.
Colleagues, even strangers.
It's what makes us help those in need.
Offer a kind word.
Lend a hand.
Or just listen with an open heart. Morrie really shows us that love isn't just a feeling, it's something you do.
Yeah.
It's how you act, the choices you make.
It's putting it into action.
And he shows how strong love is, how it goes on even after death.
Yeah, his love didn't die with him.
It still lives on in everyone he touched.
His lessons, his stories, his spirit.
All of it.
Inspiring people.
And it brings us back to that quote you mentioned.
About giving and receiving love.
The most important thing in life is to learn how to give out love and to let it come in. It's more than just words. It's like he's challenging us to live differently, to be open, to make love the most important thing.
Morrie really lived that way.
Even when he was dying.
He gave so much
His time, his wisdom, his kindness.
And it keeps making a difference.
Remember when Mitch started bringing that tape recorder to their meetings?
Yeah, at first I thought he just wanted to save Morrie's voice.
For the future.
But as they talked more, I realized Mitch needed those recordings for himself.
It was like his own personal Tuesdays with Morrie.
Something to remind him of those lessons.
And in a way, that's kind of what we're doing with this deep dive, right?
Going back to those
Some
lessons.
stories.
Speaking them in.
Using them in our own lives.
Yeah.
Morrie was a teacher right to the very end.
He turned dying into a lesson about living.
He showed us how to face death without being afraid.
How to find meaning even when you're suffering.
How to make the most of every moment.
And he reminded us that we don't have to be afraid of death.
It's just another journey.
Talk about it, don't hide from it.
Find peace with it.
So as we finish our deep dive into Tuesdays with Morrie,
What have we learned?
it's not just about knowing the lessons, it's about using them.
What would your own Tuesdays with Morrie look like?
What would you want to teach?
What do you still need to learn?
What will people remember about you?
Think about those questions
As you go about your day,
as you talk to the people you love.
as you live your life.
And don't forget what Morrie taught us.
Every day is a gift
A chance to give and receive love.
to connect with each other.
To make the world a better place.
Until next time, deep divers,
Keep exploring
keep asking questions.
and keep living with purpose.